All right, so we'll get this. I'll pull this up and we'll go over this. I have a separate tab for this. I'll go over like rank 2 with this stuff. Immediate another anti-Garen item, the Mantle of the 12th Hour. I mean, sorta, except not really, because by the time it activates, you already can kill them usually. Especially if they have a Ignite on them. I don't think it depends how strong it is. Especially with level 3 ult, you could kill above 30% HP usually. They would have to be like Mundo level, I guess. And at that point, it's like, well, you shouldn't be still pushing into Mundo anyway. I peek your spirit calm down, W. Wrong devlog. No, this is the right devlog. There's 2 of them. No, I'm gonna go over both of these. These are both very important. Okay, so I'm gonna go over both these. There's a quick video on these that I'll put in chat, but the actual devlogs go a little bit more into them. They kind of just like go over them very briefly. I'll put the full video in chat for you guys. Okay, I guess we can go over this, but here's the this is the quick version TLDR if you want to go into this. This one only matters to sweats though. I think you're in the channel, the Twitch channel for sweats. So basically, to go into the stuff about actual rank first, I'm gonna give a very long TLDR about this. Okay. Basically, they're going for autofill first. They're doing a lot of changes with autofill. So they are going to make it that is how it should have always been, that if you're autofilled in the jungle, they're going to try their hardest to match you with a autofilled jungle on the enemy team. And it's going to have the same number of autofilled players on each side. And if they can't do that, they're going to give the side with the more autofill players like higher MMR, basically. Now, I'm still the opinion that if they're going to be doing that, I would rather have longer queue times to 100% guarantee that both sides have a guaranteed autofill on jungle or on support, because I just think that makes the game more fair, especially in higher elo, where I think this is the biggest issue. This is a problem in lower elo too, but in Masters Plus especially, it's like a really big issue that if your support is autofilled and the enemy's isn't, or vice versa, for example, you probably just win or lose off that alone. And that'll continue to be a problem if there's still a chance of that happening. I'm glad this is in place so it'll happen less, but it's still something they got to keep in mind. But that's the main thing they're doing with that. The other thing they're doing is this thing called Aegis of Valor, which is basically if you are autofilled and you win a game, you will get double LP. So if you're Emerald Plus, you'll get 40 LP. If you are Iron to Plat, you will get 50 LP on a win. You have to get a mastery score of C or higher for now, and I saw they said on the Reddit that they're willing to potentially change that to be a higher breakpoint as well if needed, which I think is probably going to be an issue because it does stop people from hard ending games just so they don't care about losing, but there's still the soft ending issue. Now, I would like to think that getting plus 40 LP is enough of a trade-off to make you like really want to try to win, but we'll actually see in practice how that goes, I guess. But yeah. So I mean this is good. I can see the 0 LP on a loss getting removed eventually, depending on how toxic people are, but we'll see. I think the double LP thing should have always been a thing, though. I think it's a good addition to the game. So that's really, really good. And if you queue fill, you'll also just get this randomly occasionally. It's like a set chance, I think, based on it. Catch a shot. They should do Aegis of Numa that only plays on the server is me and it gets no LP, loss of double LP, and everyone else has normal LP gains losses. They should do that, but they should call it Aegis of Triton, and it just involves me. So if you get autofill jungle, I should avoid all fights to guarantee a C plus and avoid LP loss. I mean, if you get, I don't know how their internal algorithm works. Like, this is a genuine question, but if you avoid all fights, are you like even going to get C plus if you have 0 KP on jungle and just farm? I don't know how heavily it weighs that. I do think it's also part of the reason why they said they're willing to increase the rating on it. I don't know. I'm also the opinion that they should probably increase the rating slightly based on elo. I think having it at C is fine for low elo. I think in like Plat Plus, it should probably be B or higher. We get C, soft ending with 0 PLS needs to be changed before implementation. You'll get a C plus. But there's the argument, though, I think this is also a genuine argument, is why would you soft end if you could just try and get 40 LP or 50 LP? Because if you're going to lose, logically, it doesn't make sense, right? Because yes, you could soft end, but at the same time, You just, you know, you try, and if you do win, you get 40 LP. So it's in your best interest to win because you get 2 wins off of it, right? Or or you get 50 LP depending on how your MMR. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think that is a potential concern. I think people are overblowing a little bit. The people I get autofilled that nobody swaps with them half-time pick Yuumi and Troll. Well, I mean, if you're playing support and you're picking Yuumi, I mean, that's fair enough. It's a support champion. I don't like Yuumi as a champion in the league, but I don't think that's trolling. If you mean somebody picking a Yuumi jungle, yes, that's something that needs to be dealt with, and that's my biggest concern about this. And it's what I'm worried about with the dodging stuff up here that I'm concerned about. You think this will cause some elo inflation? No, no. Autofilling, you do not get autofilled that much, so I don't think it's going to cause elo inflation because you have to get autofilled and you have to win, and this has to happen constantly. So now here's what they're doing next for dodging. Dodging does not reset your autofill status no matter what anymore, so you're going to get forced to be autofilled no matter what. So you'll have to deal with that from now on. So you're going to get autofilled for all these games, and if you dodge, you get autofilled anyway next game, right? So you'll always have that. I think that's fair with these changes, so that's fine. Change my blanket. I will change it later. I'm hit right of this video, but I got you. If you get autofilled, dodge, are you guaranteed to be autofilled? Yes, exactly. So, and masters are higher. So for when I'm playing my games, if you dodge, it counts as a full loss. And then in addition to autofill carrying over, you get a dodge cooldown timer and have the autofill. So they really don't want people dodging autofills in high elo. So I think this is good because it's going to severely reduce queue times in high elo and it's going to encourage people to draft better. The only thing I'm very concerned about is I am not confident so far in what Riot has done to reduce champ select griefing, besides the banning of like banning somebody's pick or hover. There's 2 things they need to fix besides that. There's 3 issues with champ select, and it was that one which they fixed. The second one is somebody picking your champion from you when you already have it hovered just to grief you, which I've had happen to me once already, because a guy was trying to run me down and couldn't ban my champ. He's like, okay, I'll just pick your champ and run you down then. That needs to be removed. They need to add an option where you can't let somebody lock in your champ unless you, like, they have to send a request to let you, like, do it. And then that's fine. That's what they need to add for it. And that'll be fixed. And the third issue is just somebody troll picking with Yuumi. Like, for example, just locking in Yuumi jungle and trying to force a dodge or something like that. That needs to be fixed. Now, I'm hoping that they're going to be a lot more aggressive on these kind of things in high elo. My opinion is that the people that try to hostage autofills in high elo by troll picking, the actual number of people doing that is pretty small. They're just have 50 different accounts that they're doing it on. What I would hope is that they would have humans look at these games for the first few weeks, and then because bans are carrying over like across accounts and across computers, that you just get these people out of the ranked pool to begin with, and then hopefully that'll clean things up, but we'll see. Maybe they can use AI to detect kind of stuff like that. I don't know. But I had a Garen mid hover and I swapped him in front of him and picked Garen top and carried. I don't feel bad. What if they roll lock champs and ranked? They don't want to do that because that kills diversity in the game. They should start playing male support probably. What is it you're reading? Riot announced their new 2026 balance changes today, like what they're doing to the game. I think asking is fine. And like linking your OP.GG, especially if you're like the better player, I think it's reasonable to be like, hey, can I have this? But I mean, you carried, which is good, but you probably should ask. He went 0-12 Nazis mid. I mean, yeah, you probably should still ask. It is my opinion that I don't think you should be allowed to do what you just did there, though. I don't think you should be able to just steal someone else's pick if they do not, like, if they intend to play them. Because that's, I don't know. That was a leave a good taste in my mouth. We have the point where if someone is threatening to run you down, you don't just dodge except the loss of report. The problem right now is you don't have people's names in champ select, so you can't ticket them. One thing I hope that they do is I hope they actually add names back into champ select now, because the only reason they got rid of it to begin with was to prevent dodging, and now that you can't dodge, they should just bring it back. So if I need to ticket somebody at champ select, I have the exact ID of the player. You could go to Riot support website, you can do it. You can tweet at Drew, you can do whatever you want. But you have like all this evidence ahead of time, this person threatening to run it down with like screenshots and stuff, and you get these people to ban. So we'll see how all that goes. Have they planned to address people adding after the game saying horrendous things? I'm taking accounts for this. They ever get banned, they say some wild stuff. So my opinion for that is I don't know. They haven't really said too much about that. What I don't understand is they have an automated system in game to ban people for saying bad stuff in chat. Why is that not applied in the actual client? Like, can't you run that exact system in the client and then if they just trigger something, you just automatically get banned. That confuses me. I don't think you can monitor people picking champs for disable 2 ATPs in the same lobby just because someone hovers should guarantee everything, especially with how buggy the client is to be able to get a champ select faster. Well, by monitoring, no. So for that part, if for the 2 people hovering the same champ, my argument is that the second somebody hovers the champ, the first person who hovers it gets that champ, and you have to send a request to that other person to get the champ swapped. And if they don't swap it, you don't get the champ. I'll be trying to explicitly patch this. It makes me understand easier to sell his coaching sessions. I'll go from Iron 4 to Plat 4. Hell yeah, Notorious. Hell yeah. Facts. I like a faster click competition. Yeah, exactly. Another thing they're doing is they're trying to get faster times into games. So, and they talked about them getting rid of the banning ally champions, so, which is fun. I mean, they're cutting down animation to the champ select, but it's like whatever. That's good. Now, my opinion for this is that they could do more work here, and I think it's pretty simple. I think that you should optionally be able to pick your champion and your ban before you get into a game of ranked, like Swift play. Like, if you know for sure that you're banning the same champ every game, not everyone's like this, so make it optional. But if you know for sure that, hey, I'm going to, let's say I do not like fighting Lucian, and like I'm like Lucian counters me, he's too strong early, you know. I'm trying to play like Smolder, or like some like late game. I'm trying to play Kog'Maw, whatever. I'm gonna ban Lucian. He's too strong in the meta. You go to ban Lucian, and you pick Lucian to the champ select, and you pick Kog'Maw, and you just send it, and then it's sent. Right? As soon as you get in, your Lucian's banned, you have Kog'Maw picked, you save like 20 seconds of champ select. For people who want to do stuff like that, they're going to pick the same stuff every game. I think you just go with that. And then if you want to be like a support, for example, that like what's the pick based on what their ADC picks, then you could leave that blank, you know? But if you're a one trick, I do think it saves a lot of time for champ select because usually you have a few one tricks per game, or mains at least. Yeah, Swift plays with a ban, exactly. Yeah, it's like what I think that's something they could do that'd be very simple, especially with the bans. Even not with the picks, just the bans. You don't need a banning phase if you know who you're going to ban already, like getting into the game. You should know who you're going to ban when you're going to queue up, like already. So like, why do you have to do that in champ select? You're wasting a good like 30 seconds in champ select just doing that. If you want to make games like go through faster, in my opinion. I think I might have killed someone like another 10 minutes. 35 seconds off when minions and monsters spawn, right? Yeah, we'll get into that. You think the next champion release will be a problem for rankings? Zehen was like 80% pick ban rate. I mean, every new champ on release gets to a very high ban rate. I mean, Zehen had pretty bad balance problems. I think Zehen's kit is fine. It's just his numbers are way too high, and that's why he's OP. The second his numbers get fixed, he's fine. They're being a little slow on fixing his numbers, but we'll see. I have changed my bans based on our team. Well, that's why I was saying make it optional. If for some reason you don't want to ban, make it optional. I just will say, for in my opinion, 95+% of games you're going into it knowing what you're going to ban, and I feel like most people play like that. Also, what are the champ you want to ban as a teammate? So that like says in a matchmaking. Well, then they could not like ban it. Like that's why you set up beforehand, right? If you have a system where like the people that don't have their ban hovered, right, or they have their champ hovered before going in, and then it's one of your bans, then they could stop your ban and then be like, okay, pick somebody else to ban, right? When you're going in, because it's an optional system to begin with. So when you're going into the lobby, you're going to have a few people that haven't banned already because they're still trying to figure out whatever they want to ban for whatever reason. They want to ban off team comp, they want to ban off like meta right now, and they're still thinking about it, whatever. Then you can adjust that accordingly if needed. But overall, you have to wait for less people to ban. It'll speed champ select up. I just like not being able to ban a new champ, and I don't want my team playing a new champ they will experience. So I'm playing new champ 7-1 pinch rank ban. I mean, here's the problem with that at the end of the day. People will want to play new champs in ranked. They will grief because they're playing new champs in ranked, and they will lose your games. That is just a common thing that will always happen. The problem is, if you ban somebody's hover when they want to do that, and I'm even guilty. I've done this before in the past. They'll just run you down because they're mad that you banned your champ. Like, that's not going to solve anything. I am of the opinion that champs should be banned from ranked for the first patch. A lot of other competitive games do this. League doesn't, and I think it's a pretty big negative, but they're very, very confident in keeping it like that. So they're not going to change their minds, so we're basically stuck with where we are. There's not really much we can do about it. That's where they want it, so... I think it'd be better if you just add a band favorite so you don't have a search. I mean, I agree with that too. That should just be a feature in the client. I agree with that. I agree. because the first week of ranked is really important for new champ and rank data, but they could get that a patch later. They could get some basic info from norms and then get more balanced data after. But you could use norms to get rid of like the really, really bad parts of like how strong like when Zahed needed his hotfix nerf, right? That could have been figured out in norms without having to deal with that in ranked for a day. Even if you delay it in ranked for like a day or two, just to get like an idea of like, okay, this really broken thing is out of the game. I don't know. I really feel like that they could have figured out how strong as a hen was just on norms games alone with how strong that was. I'm of the opinion that if you're learning a new chip in ranked, you to be beaten with hammers. Yeah, it's a very reasonable thing. Q, I've been trying to watch some games. I'm sorry, Tiffany. Give me a little bit. I'm going over the season 16 patch stuff. We'll be in league, but we'll be in game in like 10-15 minutes or so. I got a weird client bug where I couldn't pick or ban any champs, was forced to dodge. They are aware of that, and Drew said I think they're patching it shortly. Norms is basically the same as PBE for info. I think there's a larger problem in that they need to improve the matchmaking for norms. That's all. I think the matchmaking in norms needs to reflect your ranked MMR more accurately, and I think the MMR difference between norms and ranked is too wide. Because one of these changes that they're doing, and I think it's like a little bit down here. Yeah, so they're doing it right here. I'll go over this. They're changing how flex and solo MMR is determined. So if your solo queue rank is super high, so let's say I'm like mid-master right now, right? And my MMR is emerald and flex at the moment, it's going to pull my MMR and flex up to master just to make flex games more balanceable for everybody. So your flex rank internally will be based off your solo duo rank, which is a good thing. That is something I think they need to bring over to norms as well. And I think if this goes well, that's what they're going to do. And I think that'll solve a lot of issues with solo duo and norms feeling like really imbalanced for games. So hopefully they do that. Because I do think what Danny said is true, and that like norms is like a bit harder to learn stuff on because the skill gap is too big. But I think that's something that's fixable. I don't think that's like, well, we can't do anything. I think there's a way you can fix that to a degree. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be fixable. I don't think it ever fits matchmaking in norms. Of 400 LP, my friends are bronze, silver, gold. How do you matchmake that? It's unbalanced. It is unbalanced, but the problem is it's not... Their system right now, Mean Dean, is not going off the fact that you're 400 LP in Masters. They does not even look at that once. It's going purely by your wins and losses in norms. That's the problem. That's what needs to be fixed. Once they're able to figure that out, I think things will get a little bit better. I mean, I should make Flex playable with buddies. Yeah, I think it's a good change for Flex. So someone get a 12-hour for the same bug. So that happened only like 2 hours later. Yeah, people have been tweeting Drew about it a lot. Wait, for real? Yep. So the way it works now is if you have a new account, Tiffany, if you have a new account, it'll base your solo duo rank for the very first time of your placements based off your norm stuff. But like if you've had an existing account for a while, your solo duo rank and your norms like hidden rank are completely different. And you're never going to see like any of it. And they're going to be completely different, and the matchmaking is going to be all weird for it. And then the only other thing they're doing now is they're adding an indicator for people whose ranks... this is basically just to explain to people that don't understand like the MMR concept, I think. When you're like in a game like this where you're in Diamond and you see a gold Smurf on your team who has Diamond MMR, they're adding an indicator being like, hey, this person's has high MMR and they actually should be in plat right now. And that's why they're here, which I think is good. Hidden rank equals MMR, exactly. I've been playing League for 10 years or so. Is there a way to check it? Your MMR, there used to be, and the website that they had because shut down, so not anymore. It's like hidden. But yeah, you used to be able to. I used to do it back in season 10, season 11. It's shut down around season 12 or so. At least I touched Grasser, so I try to go out. Couldn't be me. What about the 10-game loss streak players that get in my gold 4 games? I mean, they would have to add a thing for the opposite, but the opposite can also be true. You could have a higher ranked player. You can have like a GM player or like a challenger player. I guess that's a bad example because of how you... Let's say you could have a diamond player in a like plat lobby because their MMR is really bad, for example. I saw an idea on Reddit too that they should potentially add an indicator as well if two people are doing with each other, especially because that's a thing in Wild Rift already. I would like if Riot would consider adding that sometime this year, because I do think that's valuable info they can give people in Champ Select if two people are duoed, just to make things a little bit more fair, because you could expect those two people to play together more than you normally would. And if Wild Rift already has that, I feel like they should just add it to League. All right, so that's basically everything with this, for ranked. So basically, to recap, you know, autofill stuff. Autofills are getting paired, so your jungle's autofilled, enemy jungle's autofilled. If they can't make that happen, even though, in my opinion, they should force that to be able to happen, they'll put an equal amount of autofills on both sides. And if that doesn't able to happen for some reason, they will put the MMR higher on the team that has more autofills to make it more fair. You're not going to lose LP if you lose an autofill game, and you get double LP if you win an autofill game. If you dodge a Masters Plus, it counts as a loss, and you can't dodge autofills anymore. They're reducing champ select time overall, and they're adding an indicator if you have high MMR but a low visual rank, and then they're making flex and solo duo MMR more equal. Is the basic changes of all that. So that's everything with ranked. Done. Has anyone told you look like Garen? I have heard a lot, but thank you. I appreciate that. That's actually a selfie of me right there. Just in my armor. It's true. All right, so that's everything with ranked. This stuff I'll go over a little bit faster because a lot of it is not stuff. It's some of this is relevant to ranked. I'm only gonna go over the stuff that's relevant to ranked. There's a lot of stuff they're doing to Swift play down here that honestly I'll be straight up I don't really care about. I don't play Swift play at all. New blankie. I will get it after we're done going over this because I'm making a YouTube video. iCar. What does that mean? To give a really quick TLDR of this, the game has been way too teamfight heavy and has been way too strong for teamfight champs. Split pushing has been severely nerfed, and top lane just like sucked the last year or two. Top and ADC have felt really, really weak, and they kind of have been, even though ADC has games where they've been strong, same with top lane, but they feel really bad, and they are like objectively weaker than like jungle support are right now, so they're trying to balance that. I rarely ever read patch notes. That's fair enough. Honestly, if you're going to read any patch notes, the most important ones are the ones at the beginning of the year. It doesn't really matter that much besides that. Because in January is when they do like the huge change to the league every year that you have to like learn for the rest of the year. But then like after that, it's like, it's not usually that big of changes. At least the last few years, it's been barely any big changes. Oh yeah, top lane's felt horrible, so I'm glad they're changing a lot of this stuff. So we'll go over like all of it now real quick. So we already talked about this. It's just... So when you get in game now, the game just starts faster. They're taking 35 seconds off the start time. The game will start at 30 seconds. Camp spawn, camp spawn, monsters spawn, minions spawn. They hit the towers faster, like that kind of thing. So also, if you want to invade, you have to invade like immediately at the start of the game, or like you just go to your lane. It kind of nerfs just invading in general, I think. Getting back into Fleet Garen lately. I need the 35 seconds to Peach pre-game. Dude, you got a Peach pre-lobby. I'll read about it if there's a champ side play. That's very fair. That's very, very fair. Okay. They're getting rid of Otacon. Otacon's gone, thank God. Baron's going back to 20 minutes. 20-minute spawn. Feats of Strength is being completely removed. They haven't clarified whether they're completely removing boots from the game. I'll go into that more. The upgraded boots, I'll go into that more in a little bit, but they haven't really clarified that yet, so I don't know what's going on with that. They're making all objectives tankier and longer to kill, and the tankiness on Drakes is going to scale with how many Drakes you already have. So it takes longer to do objectives, so it's easier for people in the enemy team to kind of take slower fights and come back, which I think is good. And it gives time for people to split push too, so it's a split pushing buff too. So that's all TLDR, that stuff. They're buffing Void Grubs, which was needed. They're buffing Rift Herald, which was needed. And they're buffing comeback XP from Drakes and Baron. So if you steal a Drake or steal a Baron, your team just gets more XP for it. And that's pretty much all it. Mid is getting those boots. League is collecting remains. Why are they taking Otacon? Why do they take the boots out? So the reason why they're taking Otacon out, that's a good question. The reason why they're taking Otacon out is because a big problem with the game is junglers have not really had time to do as much stuff. It's just been like, okay, you play jungle. Scuttle spawns. Okay, Drake spawn, I gotta go to Drake. Okay, I finished Drake and I reset. Oh wait, Grub spawn, I gotta go to Grubs. Okay, I took Grubs. Oh wait, the second Drake spawn, I gotta go from Grubs to second Drake. Oh wait, the Herald spawn, I gotta go from second Drake to Herald. Oh wait, Otacon spawn, I gotta go to Otacon. So you can't gank, you can't farm your camps, you just spend the entire game trying to team fight for objectives, and it's just kind of miserable for everybody, and that's why they're kind of removing it. I'm kind of glad, because I think League just had too many objectives. I think Otacon was cool, and I'm glad they did it, but yeah, that's the reason why. So they're adding these things called fairy lights, which I'm going to go into practice tool and I'll show you where this is real quick, guys. They're adding these little circles on the map. You can basically put a word down and it's going to just show vision in a much larger AoE than it normally does if you put a yellow trinket down on where the spot is. So I feel like Otacon should be part of a game mode. I agree. I think they'll bring it back. But I'll show you a quick example of it when we're actually in game. So, for example, they have, like, some spots here, like, if you're split pushing. So, like, you'll go to, like, right here. Where's the teleport option? Where can I teleport? Put the cursor here. Okay. So, like, for example, they'll have, like, a yellow icon in this bush, right? You put a ward down, and instead of, like, the normal ward lane of the range of just being, like this, right? So instead you just have, like, this AoE, like, oh, I can see in the small circle, it'll, like, double it or triple it. So you'll be able to see, like, the Krugs here, the Tri-Brush here, that kind of thing, while the sword is active. So while you're split pushing, you can see more stuff. It is kind of like Skarner passive, yes, actually. It's also, like, the equivalent of, you know, when you take the Scuttle, the Rift Scuttle, and the Void Scuttle, and, like, it explodes and does the huge, like, AoE vision. It's the exact same thing as that. So there'll be, like, markers, like, here. They'll be in, like, the pixel bushes and, like, top and bot, that kind of thing, just to encourage more vision for that kind of thing. Two more things. They're reducing the cooldown of yellow wards, so you can just ward more often. And they're adding more of the scryer blooms to the map, that things that reveal wards. They're just adding more of them, so you can reveal vision more often. They are buffing split pushing. So they're changing Hullbreaker, or not Hullbreaker, they're changing Demolish, which is now just every 3 auto attacks you do bonus damage to turrets, so it just works like Hullbreaker now. That's honestly a good change. Happy with that. Will supports roam top more, stay bot more? I think the support roaming will probably stay the same. I don't really see anything that they're changing to really change that. So they're adding another thing called crystalline overgrowth. So what's going to happen is for any turret in any outer turrets, like if let's say you've taken tier 1 turret top, right? This will be a tier 2 turret. You'll see these crystals start forming on the turret, and the longer you don't hit it, the more crystals will build up. And then when you walk over and hit to it, it's the equivalent of, like, having a huge old Demolish proc where just, like, there's a huge chunk of damage to the turret at once. So the more you're away from the turret, the more it builds up. You just go for the auto attack and you break the turret. And it's to encourage split pushing more. Yeah, so it's Demolish, basically. It's Demolish without having to bring Demolish on it. But you can now bring Demolish as a rune and have Hullbreaker and have this. The other important things they're doing to turrets is plating no longer goes away. Plating is just there forever from now on. So even after 14 minutes, it just stays. So you have plating there. And they're adding plating to tier 2 and tier 3 turrets as well. And you get little bits of gold for killing, like, parts of tier 2 and tier 3 turrets. Tier 2 and tier 3 will have 3 plating, and tier 1 will have 5 plating. So you'll just get little bits of gold instead of having to commit to the full turret, which I think is another good buff for split pushing. I can bring Flash Ghost and more TP changes, yes. So I'll go over that shortly. But they're changing Home Guard as well, like Subprimo mentioned. So now Subprimo, like Subprimo said, if you have Home Guard at the start of the game, let's say you're a bot laner, right? You respawn, your Home Guard movement speed boost will last all the way till you get the tier 1 turret, okay? So you can get back to lane faster. They're buffing it, so mid and late game, no matter what lane you go to, as long as you stay in lane, so let's say it's like late game now, your movement speed buff will last all the way until you get to where the minions meet, like right here, just so you can get back on the map faster after recalling. Because they want the tempo of games to be going faster and games to not be as long, because games have just been, like, way too long lately, and this is, like, speeding up the game a lot. This is for top, mid, and bot. This applies to all 3 lanes. Why buff split pushing? Because split pushing has been really weak the last year. They're also changing it. So now, instead of ranged champs doing less damage to turrets, melee champions are going to do a bonus 20% damage to turrets, and they're buffing the tankiness of all turrets by, like, a tiny bit. So the effective change is, like, not that noticeable. It's more just a very slight buff if you're a melee champion and a very slight nerf if you're a ranged champion. Is teamfighting completely dead? No, objectives still matter. It's just a buff to chimps like Fiora, Trundle, Garen, Tryndamere, that type of thing. I'm sure if I let the home guard being buffed on death, I think it's a little lame to get score a kill. They could just get back with an advantage unless you auto recall. I mean, yeah, but they also added the port thing, so it's like I feel like both sides like don't really have the weakness anymore. I actually think it's a good thing because it makes top lane less snowbally, but you don't get punished for bringing Ignite or Ghost top lane anymore, so it's kind of a win-win. I think it's a problem if they didn't have the top lane quest thing ran, but because they added the top lane quest thing, I think it solves the issue. Oh yeah, so Split Pushing Silence is going to become a big thing. The other thing is that minions are not going to spawn faster, but there's going to be 1 minion per wave after laning phase. So you'll have more opportunities to try to hit turrets and stuff. It's just you'll get less gold per wave. So another split push buff. And the last thing for turrets is that Nexus turrets, when they respawn, instead of being at full HP, they'll respawn at 40% HP. I think that's the right call. I think that's all they had to do to fix it. They just have too much HP when they respawn. They shouldn't be at such short a cooldown for respawning and then being put at like 40% HP. Yeah, the changes are good. I like all these changes. These are all fine. These are all fine. So the item changes, I'm going to be honest, they're pretty long. There's a YouTube video on them that I'll probably pull up later. The 2 important things I'm going to go over for Garen specifically is Garen mid dead? No. Garen mid and top are both gonna have different strengths, so I'll go over that in a bit. The two items you guys need to worry about for Garen, there's two. There's this item called Emblem of All Inning, and it's a Zeal item, so it's good for Garen. And it gives ultimate ability haste, it gives attack speed, and it gives crit, and it gives movement speed. So it gives basically everything PD gives, just a little bit, I think a little bit less movement speed. And then after you ult, your next 3 autos get a guaranteed crit. And if they already would have crit, they do true damage. So if you're going crit, this is a buff to crit Garen. So if you're crit Garen, you ult, auto, that's all true damage on you. And you're already going crit, right? So you just have this is like a really big true damage buff. So you can just ult more, and you ult more, and you have true damage on autos to finish people off after you get your ult off. So it's just a buff to crit Garen. So this will be, if you're going crit Garen, this will be probably your 3rd item. When you end a fight with ulti, the idea is now that you can ult sooner and then just auto really fast because the item gives a lot of attack speed. So you could like get 3 rapid fire auto attacks off on them. And what I'm also curious about is if this applies to Garen's Q. Because if this applies to Garen's Q, it's going to be disgustingly strong. Because Garen's Q can crit. So if Garen's Q can crit and do true damage after, that's going to be really strong. But we'll see. Is that good with Hexplate? Hexplate, it's not really good on Garen, and champs that go Hexplate do not really want to go this item, because Hexplate doesn't give crit. Hexplate is for attack speed champs that don't want to go crit. Okay. The other important item that I think like only Garen mains have to worry about. These other ones, like you guys can look up in your own time. This is the only one of the things that's going to be relevant to Garen. This one's going to be huge for like all top laners last game. It's an AD Omnivamp item that gives you 20% tenacity. So we found another tenacity item. And it gives you ability haste that scales off your AD. So it's basically a death cap for ability haste for fighters. So the later in the game that you buy it, you get Omnivamp, so you can heal off wave. You know, you can heal while fighting people. So this will apply to Garen too. And you get a ton of ability haste off of it. So this is really good for Garen as a buff that you can go late game now into tanks. This is a extremely good anti-tank item for Garen, which he finally has another one, which he hasn't for like a while. You can go Cleaver, Shojin, and this. You can go Stridebreaker, Cleaver, Shojin, Bloodspear, and you could just fight tanks for like, 3 minutes straight, and you'll win off of it. This is going to be your go-to 4th anti-tank item into tanks now. It'll make things significantly easier. And on top of this, you'll also be able, in games that you feel like you need a lot of tenacity, you'll be able to go Stride, Sterix, Bloodspear as well, because Sterix gives you a ton of bonus AD. So you'll get a ton of ability haste from Bloodspear, because you have the bonus AD from Sterix, and you have 40% tenacity passively, plus whatever you bring with your runes. That's also going to be another strong build. So this is going to be great on Garen. The other items are going to be kind of eh. I mean, I'll go over them at like another time. The only one that like might potentially be good is they're adding a lethality item that after you kill somebody for the next 90 seconds, your next auto attack into a turret does bonus turret damage. So it's a split pushing assassin item, but it scales off your lethality. So it's like, it's not really that worth it, I think. I don't really see when I'd ever be putting that on Garen. I'm home. Welcome home. Turning Garen to Red King for real. Trinimir is dead next season? I'm going to say, he's not dead. He's OP next season. Pretty much sure wins top lane next season wins the game. No, but top lane actually matters now. Top can actually like hard pressure to win the game now if they win and they're not just screwed because their ADC lost the game. Serpent's Fang is the only... You could go Serpent's Fang and Yumu's on Garen. That's pretty much it. I can see some cheese lethality build working, but I don't know. I don't know why you would ever go this on Garen, but you could just go Hullbreaker and just... You could do better. They read the support item. Yeah, they're adding a mana... They're adding a tier support item, okay? They're adding a tier support item, so you can get it as a support, and then when it's stacked, it heals your allies every second while you're in combat. So, it's good for Seraphine, it's good for Sona, it's good for Taric. They all get their items now. So Seraphine gets a nice buff off that, so I'm sure Aphrodite's happy. Rengar's about to one-shot towers. Oh yeah, Rengar top will probably come back after this, because they're buffing crit too. You'll see Rengar top again. Now, the last thing they're adding that's important is called role quests. So they're... You know how, like, support... and what's it called? Support and jungle have role quests, right? Where like support, you have to get your stacks up, then you get your item and you're done. And how jungle, you complete your jungle pet, you complete your jungle item, you get the fully damaged spine or whatever. That's done. Okay. So they're doing a bunch of changes for this. Okay. So top is and ADC are getting massively buffed with this. So top lane, when they complete their top lane quest, you complete the top lane quest by like farming top lane, doing damage top lane, and getting plating top lane. So just playing top lane is how you get it. You get teleport. as a summoner spell. You get a third summoner spell. So you could go Flash Ghost and then get teleport for free. You could go Flash Ignite, get teleport for free. If you bring teleport already, your teleport will give you a large shield when you teleport in, so you're just a lot tankier when you run in. On top of that, the free teleport, top laners now just get bonus XP over every other role in the game. So top laners should be the highest level in the game always. They get more XP from objectives. So like if you take a Baron, you'll get more XP than everybody else. And they increase the level cap of top laners by 2. So now top laners have a level cap of level 20. Everybody else has a level cap of level 18. This is going to matter a lot. Garen is going to heal an insane amount. Assuming they allow all top lane champs passives to scale past this, Garen's going to get a huge buff to his passive. Darius will get a huge damage buff late game. Kayle is going to be an insane monster. Like, you can think, like, list any champ that has, like, a scaling passive, and they're just going to be disgustingly strong. Like, Garen is just going to be, you back off for 3 seconds, full HP. I mean, Riven will be strong. It'll be so much. Udyr is not going to be able to put 2 more points in his abilities. Like, there's going to be a lot of stuff. You'll see Udyr top again. Level 20 Cho'Gath, yeah. Ornn is going to be so strong too. I wonder if they're going to like give Ornn extra item upgrades too to make up for it. Is Camille top dead? I mean, I don't know how much these changes specifically buff Camille. I think these changes are better for most other top laners. I mean, I know Camille likes splitting, but she also likes team fighting. I don't know. She usually goes TP anyway. I feel like it's not the most amazing buff for her. I guess the Omnivamp item is good. So for the rest of the stuff they're going to do, jungle is very simple. They're only doing 2 changes. You get bonus movement speed in the jungle now for having a smite. And they're increasing Smite's damage. I don't think they've given the exact number for it yet, but yeah. Smite is just going to do more damage than it used to. So non-junglers can't steal objectives this easily, is the idea. Ornn has been disabled. Ornn getting more self-upgrades past team items would be cool. I hope they have that, yeah. Make Smite do more damage to champs. What? No. God. 1,200 true damage to champs on Smite is crazy. So for mid lane is the one that I think is going to probably need a small buff and probably will either get a small buff before it goes live or after it goes live. But mid lane, you get empowered recall, so you get a 4-second recall. You get Baron recall forever, and you get your, I believe, the wording is weird. I don't know if they're getting rid of tier 3 boots or they're just letting everybody have tier 3 boots. I don't know. But mid laners are going to get free tier 3 boots. I just don't know how that's going to work exactly. They say they're removing feats. Yes, they're getting rid of feats. But they didn't. They just said they're getting rid of feats of strength. They didn't clarify they're removing the boots themselves. So I don't know if mid lane is the only role in the game that's getting these boots now. If they are, this is a bit stronger. If they're not, this is not as strong. They're modifying the boots, so we don't know what they're going to do. I am of the opinion that if they're going to make this balance, they need to buff all the boots. Only mid lane's going to be able to get this, and they want mid to be balanced between top and bot. I think mid's getting pretty weak buffs compared to the rest of this. I think the recall's the stronger part of this, actually. So I'm hoping that they buff all the boots if mid's the only one getting them. But we don't know what they actually are because they aren't on PBE yet, so we'll find out. Is removing feats of strength good? I am indifferent about them. The only frustrating thing I'll say about the feat of strength system is it was really frustrating when you would do really well top and really well mid, but for example, your bot lane just dies 3 times and they lose turret at 8 minutes, then no matter what you can do in either lane, you just lose feats off of one person. That's really frustrating. And it kind of contributes to the fact of like one person just losing you the entire game. And I think that's probably why they're getting rid of them. Bot decides feats of strength. The roles are already really strong. They have more lackluster major buffs. So what they're doing for the bot lane is getting the ADC is getting the biggest buff. And this is one that I think is going to probably get nerfed somehow. But when bot lane completes their quest by farming bot, fighting bot, getting turrets, getting objectives, okay? They get an instant amount of gold. They get increased gold from minions for the rest of the game. They get increased gold from killing champions and assists for the rest of the game. And you get a 7th item slot. So your boots get their own item slot, and now you can build 6 items. On top of that, they're buffing crit. So crit is now 200% damage instead of 175 damage. So ADC is getting a massive buff. I am of the opinion that I think it's good because I think ADC in a complete vacuum and solo queue is weak. I do agree with Riot for that. I think this might be a little bit too much, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think what's going to get nerfed is they're either going to get rid of the lump sum they get when completing the quest, or they're going to reduce the extra gold from minions and champ kills, I think is what's going to get nerfed. But we'll see. And then jungle is just the movement speed thing. And then support, the only change is that supports now have a slot just for control words. so it doesn't take up room in their inventory, and supports can go 5 items instead of 4, and not have to leave a spot open for control words. So that's cool. And that's the only thing they're really changing with support, which is a quality of life thing, if anything. The ego and main character syndromes on EDC players are going to get worse. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's basically all they're doing for there. I'll put a link in chat and in the YouTube description. Riot Endstep, the guy who made all the videos, made all the items, just made a video about them, 2-hour video. So if you want to do a deep dive into it, you guys can go there, do it. Will this make Garen ADC worth it? I have been wondering if I could do that. I think it'd be fun to try it. I'll definitely try it next year. I think it'll be fun. I'll play a few games of it. Those are basically all the changes Riot is doing. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be cool. We'll see how things go. I think top's getting a massive buff. I think middle need a slight buff to their quest, and I think ADC will need a slight nerf to their quest. But besides that, great changes all around. Good job, Riot. Good job. Hey, for the info TED Talk thing, I got you guys. I got you guys. That is going to be a banger YouTube video. All right, let's head over to ranked. Why Garen look like Lord? What does that mean? Like Lord of the Rings?